massive underwater volcano off the west coast, and it's on the verge of erupting. The last time it blew, it caused thousands of earthquakes in just one day. Scientists are keeping a close eye on it, but who knows what could happen? This could be huge. How's that for dramatic?
Good until you told him. We did talk last week, Nick. I don't think you did it. I don't think you did it at all. Did you go to the store and find?
I didn't do it. You're right. Dang it. I knew there was something I was forgetting.
Listen, everyone at home, listen.
Yeah,
Nick and I, we talked about this.
You heard me. We recorded it.
We said maybe we'll get these cards.
That's the key word, maybe.
Technically, you said this weekend, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get it back. That's what Nick said. I was just trying to be nice. But guess who didn't forget? Your boy Bert. These are exclusive trading cards for Stranger Things, for anyone that doesn't know.
Oh, it's a trading card pack.
Yes, the trading card packs. Now, in these could be autographs.
Mm-hmm.
There could be special items that's from the show.
Okay.
But I bought these like 2 years ago and I've not opened them.
So there could be anything in there, not just cards.
Well, it's definitely cards for sure.
Okay.
Definitely cards for sure. And this one has 7 packs per box, and then there's 6 cards per pack.
Oh, wow.
So I thought what we would do is I'd crack this bad boy open. We'll start the episode just cracking one of them open, just see what's there. So for all of you that's here, welcome to the doggone show.
Crack.
Here.
See, we also can't have those.
Oh, man, you don't have nothing good, Nick.
I know. I really want one of those too.
Whew. Assisted open, baby.
Yeah, we can have gravity assist, but that's it.
See, this is like standard. This is like normal in Ohio, or I guess in the U.S. period. But it's got the little thumb thing right there, and you watch how fast it's and listen to it. It's like really fast.
See, that's satisfying.
So satisfying, Nick.
I've got something similar. Maybe that I'm not gonna record on video.
Nick's like, I'm probably not.
It's one of my prized possessions.
Nick, since I feel like we're sharing in this moment, there's a whole bunch of these cards in here. Fresh box, boys and girls. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7
After
packs.
keeping it so long, does it hurt you to open that up?
No, because I got 2 more that's unopened. They're still sitting there sealed. So I'm going to let you choose between 1 and 7, Nick.
4.
And then do you want to go from left to right or right to left?
Left to right.
1, 2, 3, 4. So this one right here is what Nick's saying.
Actually, it would have been 4 from either direction, wouldn't it?
No, it'd be on opposite side because there's 7.
Hold on. No matter which side you count from, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
It would have been a different pack because there's 7 cards.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm going to have to show this mathematically for Nick. For the record, I'm going to put the one he actually chose on the right-hand side. So if I have 7 packs, right?
Right. If you count 4 from one side, 4 from the other, you land on the same pack. 1,
2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So it'd be this one right here.
Yeah. And if you
1, 2, 3. Okay, you're right. Never mind.
Aha!
Nick got me on that one. Nick got me on that one.
You had me doubting myself, though. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure.
I don't understand how that would work, though. Mathematically, that doesn't seem to make sense. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, it would.
Yeah. Because 3 on each side of it and 1 in the middle equals 7.
Yeah, you're right. So listen, this was the right pack anyway. So we're going to see what we got here. Nick got me on a technicality on that one. Listen,
I did.
I complained about him not getting no cards, and then he corrected me on basic math.
Well, I mean, you're still more right than I am because I definitely said I was going to do that, and I completely forgot.
All right, here we go.
Oh, what we got?
All right. Number 1. It says you didn't run. Now, it's hard to see, but it's basically from that scene where our boy, he got taken down by the, hopefully no spoiler fans here. If you've not watched Stranger Things, sorry.
Yeah, you really should be caught up by now.
You really should be.
It's only a long 6 more years till we get more episodes.
It's coming out this fall.
Yeah. Yeah.
This fall, and I think it comes out end of November and beginning of December.
Yeah, it's coming in 3 parts, which is pretty crazy.
Oh, was it 3? I thought it was 2.
I had heard 3.
Maybe it is 3. I was wrong about the packs, Nick. Listen, I'm not shooting to be twice wrong. Next one is Our Only Hope.
Oh yeah, there's Mad About You, Paul Reiser.
Oh, woo, baby, look at this.
Oh, this sounds like a good one.
Oh, look at that. Hell Lord Wagner.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be valuable.
It's a hollow card.
I like that. Hail Lord dope. Vecna.
That's dope. Next says it's called Lady Applejacks. Kind of hard to see that one. All these are like really dark.
Yeah, I know Lady Applejacks was the guy's younger sister when she was playing D&D. That was her character, Lady Applejacks. Correct.
Now you're gonna know this guy, and I'm gonna be honest. I've bought a couple pizzas with this guy on the front also, but it's our boy.
I keep forgetting his name. It's what is it?
Argyle.
Argyle, yeah. Supposedly, and this might all be a ruse, he was not invited back for the final season.
What?
Yeah, he's saying that though, but like actors lie all the time.
That's true.
Yeah, so he might be back, and he might be a big player.
And the last one, our boy Murray.
Oh yeah, love Murray.
So hard, I can't get the lighting, and it's glossy. They're all glossy.
I'm so sad that in the season before last season, he lost his buddy from the Russian lab there.
I know.
He was such a cool character.
My favorite part was when they're in that airplane. I think that was last season.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was last season.
He scammed him.
Man, we've come such a journey with Stranger Things. Like
we have. I'm gonna put that right there. Stranger Things, you could be a sponsor. This is your one freebie.
Yeah, I don't think they're done. They're basically done.
There's still a season. They could sponsor us till like December, Nick.
I suppose they could. I wish they would.
That's right. Or listen, maybe we get the cast on the show. This is your one invitation. You only get one. You only get one.
Some of them have been in some really bad B movies, so they might take us up on it.
They might. Listen, hey, there's only one step below a bad movie, and that's a bad podcast. Listen, we're there.
What was it? I can't remember what the movie was, but it was like these people who were treasure hunter best friends, and they actually found the treasure. And when they brought it back, there was a mystery buyer who was going to buy it, and it was Gaten Matarazzo there.
Oh, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
As himself.
What was that? What was the name of that?
I can't remember. It's on Netflix. It's like one of those cheesy buddy movies where they find, treasure that they've been looking for since they were children.
You said the key word, Netflix.
Yeah.
When it's made for Netflix, there's your sign.
Yep, that's right.
Then again, it could be worse. It could be like Tubi. My mom and dad's gonna be so mad. They're like, "We love Tubi. Tubi's all the good TV shows." Man, it's okay. We got this thing started now, just rocking. Yeah. We got a good Vecna card. I'll take that.
Yeah, that was a really good card.
I'll take it. I call that a win.
That's probably worth $100,000.
At least minimum.
Vecna,
you could be on our podcast.
Yeah. You one opportunity. That would be crazy if we could get the guy who plays Vecna to come on in all his makeup.
Listen, they could be on our episode because for those of you that don't know, and I was going to bring it up when I was talking about the cards, we did an episode, the Montauk Project, on our podcast, and that was literally about Stranger Things. But should I say Stranger Things about that? Yeah. Correct.
So they owe us in a way.
They kind of owe us.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be weird if everyone would be so shocked if the final season comes on and the kids are listening to Deceptive Reality on a radio?
Dude, that would be dope. I'd let them do it. I wouldn't even charge them a thing for it.
Oh no. I'd pay them all the lint in my pocket.
That's right. That's a lot. A lot
Yeah.
of lint. You know what you could build with that much lint?
Vecnadol.
Vecnadol. That's right. So, Nick.
Yeah.
I got some huge news.
Huge news. Okay.
Huge news. I don't know why no one's talking about this. I feel like people should be talking about this.
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier and you made a big deal about it, but then you didn't want to tell me. So I feel like it's going to be a surprise, like a big surprise.
Well, this came out May 8th. So, I mean, a week and 1 day ago?
Or like a month and...
Or I'm sorry,
a month and 8 days
a
ago.
month and 8 days ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's wild is,
Mm-hmm.
listen to this. It says things are heating up hundreds of miles off the coast of Oregon, where a large undersea volcano is showing signs of an impending eruption, scientists say.
Oh, really?
The volcano, known as Axel Seamount, is located about 1 mile underwater on a geological hotspot where searing gushes of molten rock is rising from the Earth's mantle into the crust. Hotspot volcanoes are common on the seafloor. Here's what's interesting, though. Like, volcanoes erupt and yada, yada.
Yeah,
Not a big deal, right? Here's where I feel like they should be talking about this, in my personal opinion. In that area, there is 2 massive tectonic plates.
Okay.
The Pacific and the Juan de Fuca plates.
Okay.
And they're constantly spreading apart, causing a steady buildup of pressure beneath the planet's surface. The frequency of earthquakes has recently picked up dramatically as the volcano inflates with increasingly more magma, signaling an eruption could be imminent. But this is why I think it's weird that they're not talking about it. It says during the volcano's last eruption, which was April of 2015, a team observed about 10,000 small-scale earthquakes in a 24-hour period.
That is a lot. That's like constant.
That is constant. And they're saying the same can be expected for the next one, too.
Okay. Now, did they have any effect on the above land world or above water world?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think they truly know the magnitude of what was happening down there, because how many times do we say it? We know at this point, I believe, more about space than what we do underneath our own water.
People have said that before. I've heard it more about our solar system than underwater, which I can totally believe.
100%.
Because there's some scary stuff down there.
It says while neighboring marine life, such as fish, whales, and octopuses, may feel the heat and the rumble of the seismic shifting, they are unlikely to be harmed. So there you go. For all you little sea creature lovers out there, they'll be fine.
Isn't it weird how supposedly, millions of years ago, everything was one big land mass and it's just been spreading ever since?
Pangea, man.
Yeah, Pangea. It's still spreading. That's what's causing all this stuff and rubbing up against each other. Eventually, is it all going to rejoin again?
It may.
Like, go the other way until it goes around the earth, if you're not a flat earth person, of course.
Well, yeah. But, let's be honest. Those flat earth people, I don't feel like they're right, Nick.
No,
I feel like they might be wrong.
I don't either. And I'm sure there's people out there listening that are like, I like those guys right up until that minute. But, I'd agree to disagree, guys. You can be wrong if you want to be. But, yeah, it's weird to think it's like, and how long was it Pangea? And why did it start to move apart after being stuck together for so long?
Let's find out the answer to that question, Nick.
Right,
That's a great question.
Our regular special guest.
That's right. We're going to try to wake them up from their slumber. Hey there, ChatGPT. Are you awake?
Hey there. I'm definitely awake and here for you. What can I do for you today? Let me know what's on your mind.
So I got some pulse pounding questions for you. Back in let's just say, maybe a few years ago, there was this thing called Pangea. I'm sure you've probably heard of it from time to time. The question is, what caused it to break apart into all these different continents?
Oh, you're taking it way back. So Pangea was that supercontinent that existed around 300 million years ago, and it started breaking apart due to the movement of tectonic plates. Basically, the Earth's lithosphere is divided into these plates that float on the semi-fluid asthenosphere beneath them. And they've been drifting and shifting ever since. So, over millions of years, that movement caused Pangea to break apart into the continents we have today. Pretty wild, right?
That is pretty wild.
Why weren't they moving before that?
Why weren't they moving before that, though?
Well, the tectonic plates have actually been moving for billions of years, even before Pangea formed. The Earth's crust is always dynamic, and the continents have come together and drifted apart multiple times in different configurations. Pangea was just the most recent supercontinent, so it's all part of this ongoing slow dance of the Earth's crust.
Yeah, but they're saying back when Pangea was around, it was just all one clump of a mass. So it just sat there that entire time until then?
Yeah, it can definitely seem that way, but even when Pangea was that one big landmass, it was still moving, just very slowly. The tectonic plates were shifting underneath, and over millions of years, those movements caused the continents to drift apart. So it wasn't completely still, it was just part of a super slow geological process.
Interesting. Hey, just out of curiosity, I also saw it was on the CNN little news report. There's a mile-wide underwater volcano that's ready to erupt off the west coast. And I read about this on May the 8th, and it was talking about how apparently the last time this thing erupted, it caused like 10,000 little smaller earthquakes in a 24-hour period. Do you know, and I'm sure you're going to look this up to answer this question, but do you know when this thing is supposed to erupt? And do you know, like, could this be something catastrophic for us? Oh, it's looking.
What's she thinking?
So it looks like the underwater volcano you're talking about is called Axel Seamount, and it's located about 300 miles off the coast of Oregon. Scientists think it might erupt by the end of 2025, but the good news is that because it's so deep underwater and far from the shore, it's not likely to cause any major issues for people on land. It's definitely fascinating stuff.
Hey, well, I've got one small problem with what you just said.
Oh, sure. Let me know what's on your mind, and I can definitely clarify or help out with any questions you have.
The biggest problem I have is I can't clickbait or use that at the beginning of my video to make it sound like it's catastrophic to try to get people to watch this thing. Can you maybe make it sound more catastrophic?
Got it. Well, if you want to add some dramatic flair, you could highlight how the axial seamount has the potential to trigger thousands of small earthquakes and how scientists are closely monitoring it because underwater eruptions can be unpredictable. That kind of angle can definitely add a bit of suspense for your viewers.
I need you to do that like you're super scared, and then we'll just put this at the beginning of our video.
Oh, absolutely. Picture this. There's a massive underwater volcano off the west coast, and it's on the verge of erupting. The last time it blew, it caused thousands of earthquakes in just one day. Scientists are keeping a close eye on it, but who knows what could happen? This could be huge. How's that for dramatic?
Good until you told him.
Yeah. That's okay, though. That's okay.
Hey, we'll still splice that in the beginning, boys and girls. Hey, that sounds scary.
Have you ever heard of Krakatoa?
No. What is a Krakatoa?
So Krakatoa was an island that had a volcano on it, and it erupted, killing everyone in the vicinity. But also it darkened the skies for 6 months with the ash. The whole world.
That's crazy.
And that's like a single volcano far away. Like Krakatoa was like far away from most populated regions.
That's insane. It's insane that there's such a thing that's even an option to do something like that. You know, like we sit back and we complain when it like rains for a couple days. We're like, man, this is stupid. Could you imagine 6 months of just ash?
Yeah, and imagine back then you're from a part of the world that doesn't have easy communication. You're
Oh
just
yeah.
like, oh no, we've angered the gods.
That's
You
what's
know?
interesting. I just watched something, it was this last week,
Mm-hmm.
and it was talking about there's this tribe from, I forget where it is. They just killed a journalist, like,
It's the North Sentinel Island.
I think that is it. Yep.
Yeah. They also last year killed a young missionary.
Oh yeah, with spears or something.
Yeah.
He's trying
Yeah.
to give them stuff or something.
Right. And he made 3 trips and they were kind of receptive the first 2, but the third one he overstayed his welcome or did something they didn't like.
Dude, it's crazy. But it is interesting because they talk about how every time a helicopter will go over a top just because they just want to see, like, it's completely, apparently you're not allowed over there at all.
No.
But they say every time a helicopter will, like, come in, because apparently there was a hurricane or something that was supposed to take out that entire area.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent a helicopter over like a few days after to see, did it truly, like, wipe them all out?
Right.
They were all still alive, and they was
Yeah.
throwing spears at the bottom of the helicopter.
Right.
And they, like, it looked like the helicopter was like a porcupine.
Yeah. Well, those rules aren't to protect like us from going there.
Yeah.
Like they don't have that herd immunity that the rest of us have where,
Right.
we've all shared each other's germs for so long that we can sort of overcome things.
Right.
If you went on there with COVID, they're done for.
Correct. Then it would wipe the entire tribe out.
Yeah.
No differently than when you think about it. When we first came to the States, like the
Right.
English.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how tough that was for Native Americans. I mean, that's
Right.
savage, absolutely horrific.
Oh yeah. Have you ever listened to the actual story of like Columbus and his trips?
I don't know that I have.
That fellow was evil.
Oh yeah, no, I
Evil.
know. I knew he was a horrific person. Yeah.
That's not what they taught us in school.
Oh no, they never do.
He went over there and like he was saying that where he initially landed, there was silver just piled on the beach everywhere. And the natives didn't really think much of it. They didn't really, have any big deal about it. But he got on there and he was like, all of you must stop what you're doing and go collect that silver on the beach. So they don't know it's got any value. They don't know why he wants it. They have no concept of slavery. They have no concept of even leadership, because how they used to do leadership is each hunting expedition or whatever, they, chose a new leader every time. So everyone got a chance. So he comes on there just barking orders at him after they've been really good to him.
Oh yeah.
And he basically had him doing that day and night. And then he left a little colony there and took some of them back with them overseas to get more funding. Come back, the colony was gone. He had members of those tribes with him that could have translated. He didn't bother to ask what happened. He just went in and slaughtered them all.
Are you talking about Roanoke?
No.
Did we cover that on this podcast, Roanoke?
We've mentioned it. We've never gone into any great detail on it.
Man, I'm surprised we've not talked about that. I feel like that was like a big one.
Right. Well, it would be a big one because they've come up with even more evidence recently about that story.
Oh, they have?
Yeah, like they found a bunch of smaller settlements since then that they can almost prove had members of Roanoke Colony in it.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah. I'll have to look into that more and maybe we can talk about it real in depth one of these days. But for people who don't know, Roanoke was a colony that supposedly just vanished overnight.
And no good reason for it.
No good reason. Oh, and they carved on a tree a really evil kind of sounding word, which was Croatoan.
Yep.
Which I still don't know what that means. I don't know if anyone's found the answer to that or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, that's a fascinating story. Even American Horror Story did a season on that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing like what really happened, but who knows?
We don't know, Nick. Could be.
Yeah, I think Lady Gaga was on that season.
You lost me at Lady Gaga.
Not a fan?
She kind of weird. She a little weird for me, Nick.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to sponsor Lady Gaga, even if you ask. You're not allowed to.
I mean, she got a lot of money. Don't put it entirely out of your mind.
Playing hard to get, Nick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't bother. Don't even
money. Bother. You couldn't bribe us to do it. Trust me. You know, it's funny, Nick. I was doing, because my podcast coming out this Thursday. I want to run this thought by you because I thought it was kind of interesting. There's this legend that goes, and you and I talked, I think we talked about it last week, might have talked about it a little bit this week, but you've heard obviously the urban legend about the woman that's at the state fair, the world famous 1889 World Fair that was happening in Paris. She, her mom gets sick. She has to go across town to get this medicine from the doctor, and she comes back and her mom's gone. Room doesn't exist. None of it.
You mentioned a bit about this, but I am super curious about this because this is really mesmerizing story.
Yes. It's super fascinating because when I went into this urban legend, I'm like, it's just a cool story, right? Because, you know, it's got a lot of stuff to it where you're like, well, that's kind of like, I feel like we've stolen some concepts and ideas. And in fact, in the episodes that I'm doing now, I'm trying to add like different things. Like, I don't want to just tell the story. I want to kind of dig into stuff also when I do this kind of stuff. So this week, for the last few weeks, I've been doing something where basically, long and short of it, without going too deep into it, what I'm doing is I'm telling the story. And then I've got a skeptical point of view where I basically say, hey, here's what the skeptics say. And then I do a believer's point of view where I talk about, well, this is what the believers believe from the skeptics. You know, the skeptics are saying this, the believers are saying that. And then I go into what's known as fringe theories.
Right. Where it gets really wild.
The wild stuff. And when I told this story, I'm like, man, there's a lot to it, but I'm like, I don't know how the believers could even remotely believe any of this.
Right.
Because, you know, the skeptics, they brought up a pretty interesting point that really this story didn't pop off until it was in sensational newspapers. Like, I think we've talked about it before, but remember when you go to like the grocery store and they'd have those newspapers?
Oh, yeah.
Bat Boy, I feel like, or whatever. I think it was Bat Boy, right?
Bat Boy was the scary one. And that was, I think, the Inquirer.
The Inquirer, yes. Yeah, and then there was another one that was something news.
Weekly World News.
Weekly World News, that's it.
Yeah, because when I was a kid and I'd go to the store with my parents, I'd always want to buy these trash magazines, they always call them.
Correct.
And once in a while I'd get to. And reading the news, and if the real news was anything like that, I'd be way more of a news hound.
It's definitely fascinating, but that's where the story, it popped up first.
Right.
And it didn't pop up until a few years after the fair. Okay. So I'm like, well, you know, the skeptics kind of have a point of view that makes sense. And like they said, you know, back then it was about dramatic headlines and juicy mysteries. And that's kind of what sold all those newspapers. So I get it and I understand it. But for anyone that doesn't know this story, I'm going to give you the quick version of it because when I go into the believers part, you guys are going to be a little bit confused. So what happened is in 1889, the World Fair is going on inside Paris. And the original story and where it all comes from is this woman, she takes her mom to the fair. And you got to remember, back then it would be like what an expo would be for us because it was basically the cutting edge stuff, you know, all the interesting things that people could see. And it was like a fair to a degree, like you could buy goods, all that stuff was there. They ended up finding a hotel room that was not very far from the fair, like it was relatively close. And they ended up getting there. Well, her mom got deathly sick, like really, really bad. So they end up getting the doctor of the the doctor in the hotel. He checked her out and he goes, listen, there's only one medication that will cure this. you got to go to my pharmacy. It's across town. I would let someone else do it, but it needs to be you because you're going to be the only one that's going to make sure you get there, get it, and then bring it back. Again, there's no cars. There is horses and carriages, but she runs all the way across town, gives the prescription. They fill it. She runs all the way back. And when she comes back, nothing's the same. She goes to the guest registry where her mom signed. It's not there. They don't remember her mom at all. They only remember her. She runs upstairs, opens up the door. The room's completely different.
Oh, wow.
Completely different. She goes back downstairs, talks to the doctor that treated her mom. No recollection of him at all. Couldn't even remember him ever being there.
Right.
So the believers had a very interesting perspective. And I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know. Doesn't sound too far-fetched. But what they said was that they believe that the mom became severely ill, and the hotel staff and the doctors immediately recognized the symptoms, and they thought maybe it was something like cholera.
Right. Something very contagious. Something
like possibly the plague, like a new version of the plague. And what they say is because this was the World Fair, it was happening in Paris. If any of that news would have got out, it would have destroyed Paris and it would have destroyed anything about that fair.
Yeah. I think this is the most likely version of events.
And basically what they said was they believed that the authorities came. Once the authorities came and found out what was going on, they took the mom's body out. They changed the entire room and they left it be. And they said that the reason that they believe that so much is because the daughter had to go get the medication. He wouldn't let anybody else leave. So the only person that knew the mom was there, now had to go.
So this is from the Skeptics Corner version, huh?
Yep. So the skeptics are basically like, definitely didn't happen. You know, there's no way. Yeah. And the believers is like, nah, like we believe this is probably what happened.
Man, I have a rough time with this one. The skeptic one makes so much sense. And like with historical context and knowing how people think and stuff like that, like that's almost certainly what happened.
You mean the believer's perspective where you believe that they sent the daughter and then they just got rid of the mom's body? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Wait, so the believers, that's the skeptics one, right?
No, believer side. The skeptics are saying that they're saying that the urban legend's fake. It never existed. It was in that sensational newspaper that it would have never happened.
Well, I mean, it being in that newspaper definitely is points for the skeptics. Yes. I believe that story could happen.
Well, what they're saying is just so it doesn't sound like we're being too difficult.
Right.
And we're taking the side of the believers here. But the skeptic said the first mention of the story didn't appear until years later. And when it did, it popped into sensational newspapers known at the time for mixing fact and fiction to boost sales. Back then, dramatic headlines, juicy mysteries is what sold the actual newspapers. The journalist wasn't afraid to blur the lines between reality and entertainment. Now, folklore experts, they also recognized the legend as a textbook example of an urban myth. These types of stories typically have claims that you can't substantiate. Another issue that skeptics highlight is how unlikely it is to cover up. And what they said is, imagine hotel staff, doctors, and even local authorities all agreeing perfectly without a single slip up. That this woman never existed, especially in the 1800s when there's no phones, no quick ways to coordinate. And they say it's completely hard to believe. They're also saying there's no historical records, no eyewitness testimonies, no solid clues. So they're saying completely fake, never happened.
I really do think this could have happened, though. I can't say it did happen, but I'm saying it's very plausible. And I have a lot less reason to disbelieve it than I do a lot of other stories I've heard.
Well, that's what makes it interesting because the believers say, well, you're talking about it being the 1800s and how hard it would be to coordinate. But they said, if you go back to Paris in 1889, the city was packed. There was tons of people around from all over the globe. And basically, it was France's big moment to shine. They couldn't lose the perspective of this one event, this one plague, this one cholera, whatever it may have been, that's then going to screw up the entire fair, as well as the rumor of there being a dangerous disease inside their own city.
Right. And as for, they couldn't keep it quiet without someone slipping up. Sure, they could. And they only have to do it for a little while. Because once any investigation dies down, people can openly say they did this and they did that. No one believes them.
Well, that's true. You're right.
Like, how many hundreds of UFO whistleblowers do we have? And no one really believes them for the most part.
And think about it. Whenever we talk about ghost stories, like the really good ones, the juicy ones, the family almost always recants and says, no, it didn't happen. I made it up for blah, blah, blah. But I sit back and I think, no, what happened is you ruined your life by talking about this.
Right.
And now you're trying to backtrack because it's better to be a liar than someone that believes in ghosts.
Yeah. Do you remember that story we told quite a while ago about in the canoeing in the wilderness and the UFO that came and abducted those people?
Yeah.
And I think 4 out of the 5 of them stuck to their stories their whole life. But one guy not only switched gears because it turned out to be messing up his life, but he also tried to say the other guys were liars.
Right.
Like, that's how desperate he was to get out of telling what he was saying all those years.
It's hard. It's hard to try to make sense of things, especially when you quote unquote ruin your life. When you ruin your life, and it's, you think maybe you're doing a good thing, which is what I think a lot of these families do.
Right.
And then that's kind of what ends up happening, is it ends up destroying everything. And it's funny that you said that, because in the believers part, they also said that there was quiet rumors that was floating around Paris, stories of guilt-ridden confessions that was whispered between family and friends of those who were involved but covered it up.
Yeah. And depending on what you want out of life, it does ruin your life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you'll always be like, when people see around the town, someone will be like, there's that UFO guy, or there's that haunted house guy. And anyone who has any dealings with you that doesn't know you, they're going to start from a place of distrust right away.
Think about Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
If that story's true, which I believe it is, but if it is, they completely ruined that man's life.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they expected him to unsubscribe. And in fact, I think we talked
100%.
about that.
100%. I believe they did also.
Yeah. But like, there is a guy from the community I was born in who had a streak of bad luck. And they wouldn't even say his name for decades and decades afterwards.
We did talk about him. That's crazy.
So imagine, like, you were the UFO guy. That's going to follow your family for decades.
Oh,
if you're the ghost guy, the haunted house guy, the guy who ruined the value of his home by talking about it.
Correct.
Right?
That's a crazy thing. It's an absolutely crazy thing. Now, here's something interesting. For this story, do you know how many pop culture references there are to this story? I didn't know this many existed.
How many?
So it's inspired a whole bunch of things. One of the big ones that inspired was the Alfred Hitchcock classic. There's a thriller called The Lady Vanishes.
Right.
And it was almost the same exact story, but instead of happening inside the hotel, it happened on a European train.
Okay.
But the heart of the story is basically the same. Someone disappears without an explanation. Everybody denies that they were ever there.
Right.
There's also a 1950s British movie called So Long at the Fair, and it basically is a fair story from, guess what, 1889 World's Fair. So it's the same fair, but instead of it being the mother, it was the brother.
Oh, okay.
There is in 1965, the movie Bunny Lake is Missing. And that's where the mother's desperately searching for the daughter.
Okay.
And recently, 2005 Flight Plan with Jodie Foster.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yep. So that one's kind of the same thing. The woman wakes up mid-flight and her daughter's missing.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can remember seeing the daughter on the actual flight. So kind of has some interesting little nods to it in other movies and stories.
It kind of reminds me, like, peripherally, like with weird things happening in hotels, is a famous. Have you ever heard of the probably the most famous ghost story writer there ever was? His name was M.R. James.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So have you ever heard the story Number 13?
Number 13. I don't know. I don't know that I have.
So this happens in a hotel as well. But this one's a little different because there's a room that is sometimes there and sometimes not there. And here's the summary of it. Number 13 by M.R. James is a ghost story set in Viborg, Denmark, where a British historian named Anderson stays in room 12 at the Golden Lion Inn. During his stay, he notices that the room number 13 does not appear on the inn's blackboard, leading him to believe it is cursed. As he explores the inn, he encounters ominous occurrences, including a clawed hand attack, and hears singing from the room next door. The story explains themes of fate, superstition, and supernatural, culminating in the discovery of a mysterious document beneath the floorboards of room 12. So what happens is he checks in, and he notices that it's room 12, room 14. And he notices that there seems to be, like room 14 must be room 13 because they're kind of side by side.
Yeah.
And at night, he wakes up in the middle of the night and notices his luggage is a little bit closer to his bed than he remembered putting it. So he goes and has a cigarette at the window, and he sees the shadow of someone having a cigarette in the room over and talking to someone in there. And he goes to talk to them, and he notices that there's a room 13 now. And no matter how much he knocks, they won't open it. So he goes back in his room, and he wakes up in the morning, and his luggage is back where it was, further away from the bed. And he goes out. There's no room 13 there. And it keeps going back and forth like that. And that, like, haunted hotels are very fascinating.
Oh, yeah. Or like the hotels is superstitious and that, like, they won't have a 13th floor.
Right. And that's still like that in a lot of places today.
But here's the thing. Wouldn't the 14th floor then be the 13th floor?
It totally is. It totally is.
I mean, unless they have an entire floor that they don't let anybody on.
Right. What a waste that would be.
Here's what I think they should do.
Right.
Have the 13th floor, but then sell it as that, staying on the cursed floor.
I would definitely stay there.
100%.
Here's something fascinating, and I feel like we might have talked about it before. Do you know why 13's unlucky at all?
No.
So, the Knights Templar.
Oh, yeah.
How they started to become more and more powerful and stuff like that.
Yep.
Well, it started to get big enough, and they were sort of a separate entity from the main church, that the king and the church got together and said, we got to do something about these guys. So they sent out these sealed letters that you would be executed if you opened it before Friday the 13th.
Oh.
So no one did, because back in then they're like, well, someone's going to come check on this and I'll be executed. So on Friday the 13th, they open it, and it was orders to just run out and kill as many Templars as you could.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Ever since then, 13, the number 13, and especially Friday the 13th have been considered unlucky, but really only if you're Templars.
Man, you make me really want to do a video on that now. That's fascinating. I did not know that. It is
fascinating because we still hold on to that to this day.
I mean, think about that entire franchise, Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a nod to that. It almost have to be, right?
I think that they probably just knew that Friday the 13th was supposedly unlucky and then built off of that. That's my guess.
Fascinating.
But I found something really weird because we've had talks before about old sayings and stuff that sort of are colloquial or like isolated to a region. So you've probably heard of something like dead as a doornail.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a saying here. In some places it's dead as a dormouse. Have you ever heard that before?
Mm-mm.
That saying goes all the way back to ancient Rome because one of their most popular meals was a creature called the dormouse, which was basically a large mouse. And they were considered to be dead most of the time because they could hibernate up to 6 months. So that saying survived all through history from ancient Rome till we'd say dead as a dormouse.
That's fascinating.
And how it survived that long, I have no idea.
It's always those sayings that I think it's super cool when you go back and figure it out. Or like the nursery rhymes and all that stuff. Like, I didn't know this until recently. The Rockabye Baby. Do you know why it's Rockabye Baby in a treetop?
Why?
Apparently, I can't remember if they were natives or Native Americans. It was somebody. They would create these, I don't even know what you call them. It's the way they would carry their babies. But because it was so dangerous, in the daytime, they would put them up in the treetops so that animals wouldn't get to them when they would go do things they would need to do. Yeah. But they would swing in the wind. So that's why it was Rockabye Baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. Right. If the bough breaks, so the limb breaks,
the cradle will fall.
And down will come baby, cradle and all, right?
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
That's where it comes from.
Have you heard the one about, what is it? Ring Around the Roses, Pocket Full of Posies? And what that's about?
Crazy. That is crazy.
So anyone who doesn't know, that's about the plague.
Yeah.
People putting flowers in their pockets and stuff because it was thought to stave off the plague.
Yes.
Ashes, we all fall down. That's from burning the bodies.
Correct.
How morbid is that?
It's so morbid, dude. When you talk about this kind of stuff, it's so creepy.
Yeah, I know. This is why they don't give kids any context in things.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And then we go around, we repeat this morbid stuff.
Right. Like I think we talked about it before, how like a lot of sayings, we cut off the most important parts. Like,
oh, yeah.
What were the ones we talked about before? We heard
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, master of none, still far better than master of one. Yep. And curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought him back. Like these things change over time and we completely lose the context of what we're saying every day.
Right.
Language is fascinating.
Super fascinating. You know, it really makes me wonder, like some of the weird things that we talk about nowadays, I feel like it's nothing like the stuff they used to talk about back then. Like we wouldn't have a nursery rhyme about the virus that hit us in 19. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like we would never have something like that, but they would have an entire nursery rhyme for it.
Yeah. Well, they had to pass on stories and legends and advice through oral history. So I think it was more important back then. Now we just write it down.
Correct. Yeah. But think about it. Even back then, like, I mean, it went through so many generations that understood, but then it continued and other generations had no concept of what anyone's talking about.
Exactly. And at some point or another, someone said, man, if I keep telling this to my children, I better cut out the part. Like, I better not tell them what this is really about.
It's almost like, what is it? The Grimm Brothers stories or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah.
Those things are morbid, boys.
Oh, yeah. They were definitely swapped over time. Disney was mostly responsible for that.
Yeah. I didn't even know this when Pinocchio. I didn't know he killed Jiminy Cricket.
Oh, did he?
He did. He killed a talking cricket, which later Disney ended up calling Jiminy Cricket.
Oh, and not killing him.
Yes. Correct.
I heard in the old version too, his nose didn't grow because of lies. It wasn't really quite that simple. It was like whenever he was a bad boy in any way.
I looked that up. That's not true.
Oh, that's not true?
No.
Oh, okay.
I saw something on that too. That's how I found out about Jiminy Cricket, because I
Right.
started reading the lore. And what it was, if he told a lie, his nose would grow.
Right.
And there was numerous times that he got caught in bigger lies than
Right.
what he was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's just stories. People do it to get clicks because they're like, oh,
Right.
look at this horrific thing that was said.
Yeah.
But like the worst thing in the entire thing was that he killed the cricket, which later would be Jiminy Cricket.
Right. I think they later made a horror movie off of that, because a lot of this stuff is coming into the public domain, even from Disney.
Yep.
So there's like
Mickey
the Winnie
Mouse.
the Pooh ones and the Mickey Mouse one soon.
Yep.
Yeah. Or actually, I think the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse
That one. Correct.
came into the public domain. So a lot
Correct.
of weird stuff happening there.
There's so many different things when you look at it, you're like, I can't believe. Like there's certain lines that I think, I don't know, maybe it's a me thing. I just don't think they should cross some lines.
Yeah. Like what's an example?
Like the Steamboat Willie is probably one where I'm like, don't make a horror movie about that. That's just weird. Like now you're just creating something to use the name of something else to get attention.
Right.
Like you're not creating anything interesting at that point.
Yeah. As a horror fan, I'm not interested in these myself.
Right.
I think they're gimmicks and I don't like that kind of thing.
Exactly. That's
But,
my point. You're not making anything interesting. You're using the clickbait of something else. Like I equivalate that to the same as me creating the same exact video of somebody else, but then
Right.
claiming it to be mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like I do see the moral problems with it, but my problems aren't so much that. It's just that you're not making something interesting. You're making something just to make it because you can, and because you're going to have the shocking name of something on it.
Correct.
Like all the reviews of those movies had been dismal, like bad.
Oh yeah, because again, you're pulling from people that first off they're going to be annoyed by whatever
Right.
it is. And then you've got the other people that don't care because they understand it's basically clickbait at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think I'm that way on a lot of things. But then again, I look at things kind of weird, right? It's like, prime example, we're going to these haunted locations in just a very short amount of time. We're talking September.
Yeah.
So, July, August, September is literally 3 months away. And I find myself doing less high-tech stuff and preparing with old stuff.
Right.
And it's because I feel like I don't want to do what every other investigator does. And in fact, I feel like they've maybe went too far left of center on some things. And I want to try to right the ship a little bit.
Yeah.
Like a prime example, I saw a Polaroid photo camera. And I'm like, if you remember back, there was an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, and there was this, man, I can't remember what it was. There was a people that was reported. What happened was, which controversy anyway, this young couple moved in with, I can't remember, I think it was his parents, but they used a Ouija board, contacted an entity that then came into the house and started haunting them. And I remember on that episode of Unsolved Mysteries, there was a photo of a Polaroid that had this apparition like appearance to it.
Right.
And I'm like if you think about digital stuff, right? Like we're using a lot of high-end digital stuff. Like we're going to be using the Ace Cam Pro. We're going to be using the Sony Alpha series. We're going to be using 360 cameras. Some of the digital stills we'll be taking with high-end cameras. I sit there and I think to myself, like when you look at digital, it's looking at a pixel and the computer not the computer, but the chip on board is determining what that pixel is.
Right. And each camera has varying opinions on how that works.
Correct. Now, the question is, did you see something that was possibly an entity, or did the chip determine what you saw?
Right. Or is it not capturing things because it's interpreting it based on what's expected to be there?
Which very well could be.
Right.
So what I did was I got this Polaroid because that is what it is. There's no pixels.
Right.
You know, that camera is what it is. Now, I've also, this last weekend, I went upstairs and I went searching for my old film camera. 35 millimeter is the one I used when I got into photography.
Right.
And I found my old Sigma series professional grade camera. So I'm going to take that with me too. And we're going to develop some film. We're going to see what happens. And I thought it might be fun, possibly, that if we have like maybe some really cool things, we'll have them in photographic proof of like hard photos or negatives.
Right.
And no one can dispute that.
No. I'll tell you, the very best photograph, in my opinion, that I've ever seen of a ghostly apparition. I actually took it myself, and I happened to be in New York at the Museum of Natural History, taking a picture of my friend standing in front of the woolly mammoth statue.
Oh, wow.
And these are the kinds where you took it to someone who developed it, like not just someone you know, you took it to a Walmart or something like that. So you can't really mess around with it.
No.
And most of the time, the people working at these places don't know enough about the process to mess around with it. They're just using a machine.
Correct.
And in that photo was floating a see-through baby with an old white dress all torn to pieces. Some people said, oh, it's an angel. Those are wings. But those hippy dippy, think everything's positive kind of thing. And it was floating there like its legs were hanging down as if it was just hovering in the air. And like you could very clearly tell what it was. I'll try to dig it up, but this is like, I was probably like 22 at the time. So it was quite a long time ago.
That's fascinating.
But it was pretty exciting. When I was looking at the pictures, I was like, what the heck is this?
See, that's the cool thing about this Polaroid. It has underneath it a spot where you can put it on a tripod. And you can also connect it to your cell phone. And you can click it to take a photo from your cell phone.
That's really neat. That's something that
super neat.
You definitely could have used like 20 years ago.
Correct. Because I'm sitting there thinking, you go to this is just my thinking, you go to a quote unquote haunted location. The ghost sees you got the camera. It's not going to put itself in front of the camera, but what if you just set it randomly on a tripod in the back of the room pointing towards you? You sense something's there, and from your cell phone, you click a button. It's not going to know that's what you're doing.
Yeah. Like it probably has no concept of what's going on at all, depending on when it was around.
Correct.
Do you think intelligent apparitions learn over time?
Absolutely.
Like that they might be aware of modern events and modern technology?
I believe that they know it well in advance.
Like maybe they just instinctually know it almost, or?
I feel like they're on that time frame where they can be anywhere in time at any point in time. So things we're seeing now.
That's what I was just thinking about that too.
They could be thousands of years in advance, above and beyond that, looking at us like we're, Neanderthals.
So like alternately to that, they might not even have to avoid cameras. They might be able to not show up on them, period.
They could. It's possible.
Like
I just think that it's unlikely.
That far in advance.
I think it's unlikely though, because we've caught them. That's the thing. Like we've caught them. So, or at least we've thought we've caught them anyway. It's probably the best way to put it. But it's kind of like
I think I've seen some pictures that are real.
Oh, 1,000%. And it's funny because you and I, we talked about this a little bit before we jumped in here. I've got an interview coming up this coming week. It'll be on my podcast. It won't be on this one. But I'm talking to a relatively interesting gentleman. A lot of you probably might not know him, but you'll definitely know his grandparents for sure. But I'm going to do his interview. So when this episode comes out, I'm going to be doing the interview the day before. But his name is Chris McKinnell. It's the grandson of Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Now that's going to be fascinating.
Super fascinating. He was gracious enough to come on my podcast. We're recording in 3 days. I'm actually in 3 days. But it's interesting because in the things that he's done before, and I'm going to go into, the way I like to talk about my interviews is I've kind of morphed into what I do now is like I have an understanding of people, but I just kind of let the conversation go where the conversation goes. Like I don't have canned questions. Like I don't like those. But like
he has more natural the way you do it.
I try because I want it to be a genuine conversation from two different people that love the paranormal. And he definitely does. He's had over 10,000 cases himself across 6 continents.
Impressive.
Oh, I mean, could you imagine 10,000 cases?
Yeah. That's a busy man.
Very busy man. He runs the, I think it's called the Warren Foundation now. I feel like it's either the Warren Foundation or something like that. So he's like the main guy of that entire thing. And what he does is now he has an entire team. And that team, they do the same exact thing Ed and Lorraine Warren did. And what they do is if, let's say you've got a haunting or something like that, you can contact him and for free, they will come and try to help you through that situation.
That's really fascinating. Are they also, are they the stewards of their old files and stuff?
So that is his dad and his mom. So Tony Spera and Judy Warren, which I believe is, here's what's fascinating. I always find it interesting because we talk about Ed and Lorraine Warren, but Warren wasn't their last name.
No?
No,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe Warren was Ed's middle name. I forget what his last name was, but they just took Warren as their last name. So technically, like Judy taking the Warren last name, like that was her dad's middle name, I believe.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
It's interesting. But whatever his real name was, I can't remember what it was, but whatever his real last name was, he's like, that's not cool enough, basically, would be the equivalent. So they went with Warren, which honestly, I don't even think he liked the last name Warren. Just think he went with it. So
does this guy have, does he cooperate with his parents, or are they sort of off on their own tracks, or?
I think that he does. There's some things that I believe between him and what he does and them, he's different on. Like he's definitely he's not like Ed was a demonologist and Lorraine was obviously a clairvoyant and a medium. And Chris, he proclaims to have some either mediumship or some clairvoyance, but not even remotely close to what Lorraine was. But he does not believe in demons.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. So,
because they were all about demons. Really?
Correct. And what he said is through the years of doing what he does and across all the continents, he said, a prime example, if you're a Catholic priest and you go to Africa to try to cure someone of demons, you'll never be able to do it because they don't believe in the Catholic Church.
Right.
So his standpoint is, well, for something to work, you have to A, believe in it, and then B, it has to fit with the cultural area. So if a demon's one thing here, but it's something completely different over there, he just believes there's a different thought process. Like it's all entities that was here from somewhere else, but he doesn't subscribe to the Christian belief of it.
That's kind of the idea that they were trying to put across in Exorcist Believer when it came out, which I did not care for that movie, but they had like people of 5 different, vastly different religions. And supposedly all their stuff was true and it would work or it wouldn't work. And it's just the belief that mattered.
Interesting.
Did you see that movie?
No, never saw it.
No. I feel like religious people would probably find it offensive, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah. Like as someone who was at one time, I was like, you're really, really pandering to a lot of things. And this is not what the original writer had in mind, in my opinion.
Did the movie rate well?
I don't know. I'm going to have to check that out. It didn't with me or my friends.
If it didn't rate well, I would almost say that's probably why.
Yeah. Popular, I guess is what I'm looking for. Ooh, no. 25% audience and critic score.
Yeah, so you figure
that's bad. So I guess everyone agreed with me then.
Yeah, too many people saw that. We actually, Jess and I, we talked about seeing Sinners. Have you seen anything for that?
I loved that.
Oh, yeah?
You're going to maybe like it.
Maybe like it.
Well, I know how you feel about vampires.
Oh, that's right. That's the vampire movie.
Yeah, we talked about this.
This is why Jess is trying to trick me into seeing it.
It's a real good movie. And if you just look at it like historically and culturally and superstition, I think you can appreciate it for that. But it's probably one of the top 5 horror movies I've ever seen.
Wow. Well, speaking of, since we're kind of on this plateau, Nick, I know we're getting close to about that time. There's a TV show that's coming out that I kind of want to get your thought process on.
Oh, okay.
I put it in the Discord. There's like a little trailer to it.
Let's see what we got here.
And what I was thinking is we'll do like the 3, 2, 1, and then you tell me what you think about it.
Oh, is it in our official Discord?
Yes. And it's under weekly stories to cover, very, very top.
Oh, yep, there it is. I see it. I didn't realize I could scroll. Okay, so you want to do the 3, 2, 1 on that?
Yep. 3, 2, 1, go.
Ghosts, chaos, and 50 grand. No wonder everyone's hooked.
Jeff Burham is the visionary and creator of this project. His wife is very much a believer in the paranormal.
The calling behind it is to help people deal with the fears of the unknown.
Welcome everybody to the Great Ghost Challenge. There's a lot of fake ghost shows out there, and I think what you get from this show, it's all genuine. We literally have contact. We have stories, and this place is so haunted. It was that easy.
Who will survive Calico Ghost Town and emerge the winner? You'll just have to watch and find out.
So it's basically a game show where they just see how far they can push people in this little spot. And what did he say? Calico? Is that what he said?
Yeah, Calico Village or something like that.
Yeah. So it's basically kind of like, I don't know who will possibly remember this. Only the older folks have a chance, but there used to be a show called Celebrity Paranormal.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. Between us, not on the show, I think.
And basically what happened is they would take these celebrities, and every episode they would drop 4 celebrities off in an extremely haunted location, and they would have to spend the night. And the goal was to do all of these different challenges. Now, this show almost sounds like Survivor had a baby with that show.
Right.
And now this is what we've got.
I like how it was presented.
Yes.
I'd like to see that.
I'm super curious. I caught it this week. I saw that little thing we just watched right there, but I'm like, man, that's kind of sick. Like, I kind of like that idea.
Is it out already, or like?
I think it's in the process of being created.
Ah, darn. That means I got to wait for another thing.
We're already waiting on the Stranger Things, Nick.
I know. I'm so over that waiting for episodes of things.
Yeah.
Like that was the olden days. We should have everything we want instantly all the time now.
I think the hard part is if you got a show like, let's use, for example, Stranger Things, you shouldn't wait multiple years in between seasons.
No. I don't like that at all. Like, I'm not happy with that.
Yeah, I hate that
in fact,
much.
I love that show, but I'm so ready for it to be over now.
Correct. Yeah, because it literally,
I want the conclusion.
Well, they left the cliffhanger. This was 2 years ago?
3?
Yeah. We was on vacation when we watched
years.
This last season, whatever the last season was. We watched it on vacation. And I'll never forget when we watched, I'm like, oh man, that's crazy. Like, I can't believe all that happened, yada, yada, et cetera, et cetera. And then I'm like, well, we'll have to wait till next year. And then next year came and I'm like, oh, we're going to have to wait till next year. It's kind of like,
I mean, between, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to say, between the last season and the one before it, there was a couple years in between that too.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's annoying. You know what it reminds me of?
Right.
The way they kind of closed this last one off, it's kind of like, remember Alf in the last episode of Alf?
Oh, yeah. That was, they didn't know that was the last one.
No, which is why it got ruined, but.
Yeah. So canonically speaking, Alf got caught by the government and probably dissected.
Probably. That's the way it looks.
Yeah. And because it never continued, that's kind of the way it is, really.
They made a spin-off show or a spin-off movie of it, but it was so bad.
Oh, they did?
It was so bad.
Did it continue the story, or?
Yes, but not really.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. Well, what says you at home? Was there anything that caught your attention? Is there anything that we probably should have talked about? Tell us in the comments down below. I'm curious what your favorite story was. And also, wherever you're listening to the podcast, give us that doggone thumbs up. Let us know we're doing a good job and tell your friends about it. Listen, on YouTube, we're still getting in trouble over there on the doggone YouTube machine. So if you can give us some love on YouTube, we would appreciate that a lot.
We need it, please.
We need all of it. Well, until we see you in the next episode, next podcast, goodbye.
Crack, goodbye.